What is going on, Laker fans, NBA fans out there? Appreciate you guys tuning in on this Sunday afternoon. Throwing up a video here. Got a topic that I want to get into. Just kind of give everybody a quick idea of what we'll do in today's show. I'm going to do some predictions here of predicting the Lakers starters, and there's really, I think, two spots that are available. So I'll get into Gabe Vincent or D'Angelo Russell. I'll get into Jaxson Hayes or Rui Hachimura because I think it's going to come down to one of those two players. And just kind of give my thoughts and opinion. I know it's a little bit early in the offseason, but there's already kind of some chatter and some conversation. What are the Lakers going to do as far as starters go? I thought Jovan Buha put out a really good article in The Athletic. This was about a week ago or so that leaned a little bit towards this is what the Lakers could do. Kind of went through a couple different things. So I'm going to break down just my own predictions of what I think the starters are going to be. Plus, the Lakers made it official with Anthony Davis today. Press release went out. Rob Pelinka had some comments on it. So I'll go over that as well. So I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. If you guys can please do me a favor, if you can please subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And we'll continue to put up content here and hopefully just get those subscriber base up. All right, let's get it started. So I think it's safe to say, Laker fans, I don't think we have to worry too much about a few positions that won't be much of a conversation when it comes to who those starters are going to be. Anthony Davis will be a starter. Will he be a starter at the 5 or will he be a starter at the 4? Last year, he was a starter at the 5. Previous years, when it was JaVale McGee and some of the other big men that the Lakers have played with in the past, he was a 4, which sounds like his preference. But Anthony Davis, of course, will be starting. LeBron will be starting. I don't think I'm breaking any news by telling Laker fans that. And then the other one that I think is no question about it, a starter, even though he wasn't a starter when we started the season last year, Austin Reeves is going to be a starter again this year. He got paid starter money, but forget the money. He's incredibly impactful. He's an incredibly important player for the Lakers, and I think, no question about it on that front, Austin Reeves is going to be a starter for the Lakers. So those 3 spots, get him out of the way. Austin Reeves is going to play the 2, so you got to figure out who's going to be your point guard. LeBron's going to play the 3, so you got to figure out who's going to be your, I guess you can call it either your power forward or center, just based upon what the Lakers do with their big. So those 3 spots, put them out of the way. The first one I want to start here with, because I think this will be actually really competitive. The Lakers obviously made a couple of moves this offseason. At the point guard spot, they went out and got Gabe Vincent, who got all the way to the NBA Finals, had some really clutch performances in the playoffs, and I thought, earned himself a great contract by the Lakers. Some people think the Lakers overpaid, ended up with 3 years, $33 million, but I think the contract's fine. I don't think it's that big of a deal. If you're making $11 million in the NBA and it's a 3-year deal, you don't have to be too worried about that contract. And Gabe Vincent, I think on this team, with the spacing that Anthony Davis and LeBron James can provide, he's going to get some open looks, and certainly he's a defender, so I think he'll be fine. D'Lo, obviously, the Lakers went out and were able to re-sign, got him for 2 years, $37 million, somewhere around there. And a lot of people thought he may be signing, I think at least for me, before the playoffs started, I thought D'Angelo would be getting a bigger bag. I thought the opportunity for D'Angelo Russell to make more money was going to be there. But by the time the playoffs were done, that was not the case. So let's break down the positives and the negatives of each one of these players and try to figure out which one of these players we would like to see starting. By the way, this is just more what I think. This is more preference. And then I will tell you what I think the Lakers will do. But ultimately, this is just an opinion. So right out the gate here, Laker fans, if you have a preference of who you'd like to see start the game, you can feel free to put it on the comments below. So D'Angelo, I think it's safe to say this about D'Angelo Russell. I think the potential D'Angelo Russell has on a night-in, night-out basis is a higher potential that Gabe Vincent has on a night-in, night-out basis. What I mean by that is D'Lo's more capable for dropping 25 and 8 or 9 assists and having 5 or 6 three-pointers than I think Gabe Vincent is on a night in, night out basis. So I think the upside of what D'Angelo brings from just pure potential. Hey, D'Lo on any given night can get loose and lead the Lakers in scoring for that night. That can happen. The likelihood of that happening over Gabe Vincent, I think, is higher. D'Angelo Russell, I know I've had my fair share of being critical about his game. And there was actually a lot of people last week when I did a video on D'Angelo Russell. There's a lot of people specifically on YouTube that were, Al, what are you talking about? Why are you so critical on the guy? You don't give him enough credit. And that's maybe one of the first times that I saw at least a good percentage of Laker fans that were trying to defend D'Angelo Russell. I think with D'Lo, if you look at the positives are, like I said, any given night he can drop 25. He can. He has the skill set to do that. Any given night he could hit 6, 7 threes. What D'Angelo Russell, and on any given night, I think he can get 7, 8, 9 dimes and really be a facilitator. And the one thing I like about D'Lo's game is he's not a selfish player. D'Angelo Russell, I don't think is coming into games saying, I got to get mine. That's not, I think, truly in his nature. I think his skill set, there's other areas of his game I'd like to see him improve, but I don't think he's a selfish player. And that, I think, bodes well for the Lakers with the type of team that they have, because they don't need him to drop 25 a night. They just need him to play consistent basketball, low turnovers, set up other guys, hit open shots when he gets the opportunity. What I think will hurt D'Lo in this conversation here, and it was the same as it was last year, D'Lo's not a good defender. And for D'Angelo Russell, that's one of the things that Gabe Vincent can shine at for the Lakers. So if you look at the positives for D'Angelo Russell, I would say that his ability to go off on any night, his ability to grind out 82 games, his ability to be comfortable in those regular season moments. Not going to talk about the playoffs because I think the playoffs and closing games is going to be a separate conversation. Gabe Vincent, on the other hand, he's going to get crazy looks because of the spacing that LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to be able to give him. Now it's going to be up to him to hit those shots. Dennis Schroeder, obviously D'Lo and Dennis Schroeder were kind of exchanging minutes last year in playoff situations, or I'm sorry, just in the regular season and in the playoffs. Excuse me there. They were exchanging minutes, but there were a lot of times where Dennis Schroeder was closing out games, especially in the playoffs, actually averaged more minutes than D'Lo in the fourth quarter. I think for Gabe Vincent, the fact that he's going to get really, really good opportunities because of the players that he's playing with, and I'm talking about the attention that's going to go towards LeBron, the attention that's going to go towards AD, the attention that's going to go to Austin Reeves, I think Gabe Vincent's going to find himself in great situations to get some open looks. The biggest advantage Gabe Vincent's going to have over D'Angelo Russell, even though he's smaller, Gabe Vincent's a good defender, a willing defender. I think I think there's going to be a lot of times where it might look a little similar as it did last season, where there were moments that you would watch Lakers basketball and it would be D'Lo starting a game, but it wasn't D'Lo closing a game. But then there were also nights where D'Lo went off and he had 25 or 30 points. And, I'd spend some time in the post-game show giving him some praise. And then other nights where I didn't even know D'Lo was playing today. So I think we'll probably see a little bit more of that, where D'Angelo Russell always seems to have more attention. But Gabe Vincent's going to get some real opportunities this year. And I think with the way that Darvin Ham coaches and watching him all of last year, I think there's going to be plenty of times where Darvin Ham's going to make decisions of, well, whoever starts here, whoever's playing better towards the end is the one that's going to close the game. If I had to make a prediction right now, who I think will start games for the Lakers come regular season, I think D'Angelo Russell will start games to start off the year. But I really, really don't think that's in stone at all. Gabe Vincent could potentially make a case in training camp and preseason. You got to have me in for these games. You got to have me to start the games. You got to have me to close the games. But I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if it looks a little bit more like it did last year, where D'Angelo Russell starts these games. And then the question is, Are you going to play comparable minutes to Gabe Vincent? Is Gabe Vincent, by the time you're 20, 30 games into the season, is it kind of known that he closes out games? Or are we going to find ourselves in a scenario where Gabe Vincent is potentially starting over D'Angelo Russell as well? So, Laker fans, I'll throw this out to you. You got D'Lo that can – I think he's got a higher ceiling of what he can do on a night-in, night-out basis. You got Gabe Vincent that might be just a little bit more of a consistent point guard for you. And, oh, by the way, plays really good defense. Which one would you prefer between those two players as far as the starting gig? Feel free to put it in the comments below. A quick reminder here. If this is the first time you've been on the channel, I appreciate you being on the channel. If you're on the channel a lot and every time I put content, you're a part of it, thank you for doing so. Either way, if you can please subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate that as well. There was an interesting, and I think it's been an interesting conversation that has gone on so far. The conversation about what the Lakers are going to do in the center spot. Now, I listen, I know we've been doing this for a while now. Hey, is Christian Wood going to come to the Lakers? So the Lakers go get Bismack Biyombo. JaVale McGee is available. That conversation's been going on for a long time, and we all know the Lakers, with their 14th roster spot, are going to use it for a big. I think everybody believes that that's going to happen. There were a couple interesting quotes that I want to read here, and a lot of people have had their opinions so far this year on what the Lakers should do in regards to who should be starting, who should not be starting, and everything else. I want to remind everybody of a quote here real quick of Rob Pelinka at Summer League. So this was probably close to a month ago or so. But after they brought in Jaxson Hayes, this is what one of the quotes was. Coach and I have talked a little bit with Anthony in the offseason about more minutes of some of the 2020 success that we had where Anthony Davis got to play with a big. He said, I think adding Jaxson Hayes was key to that. I think of Jaxson much like maybe Dwight Howard. 1 second here. My bad here, Laker fans. I am silencing my phone. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to read off the rest of the quote here. So this is Rob Pelinka from Summer League. I think adding Jaxson Hayes was key to that. I think of Jaxson much like maybe Dwight Howard in that stretch for us. Big body, rim protector, active roller. I think Jaxson is going to be big there, but we are looking to add an additional center as well. So kind of gets into that. Obviously, we know the Lakers, what was it, 2019, 2020 season is what he's talking about. You had JaVale McGee. You had Dwight Howard. You had bigs that you were able to obviously use. In the past, they've had DeAndre Jordan. They've had Marc Gasol. So the Lakers have certainly, I guess you could say, as best as they can, have put AD in a position where he can play what he believes is his natural position, which is the 4. Last year, who they have? Thomas Bryant, Damian Jones. So Lakers were trying to do whatever they can. Wendy and Gabriel, but Anthony Davis had to play the 5 because you really just didn't have anybody that you can rely on a consistent basis. Mo Bamba came to the team later. We barely saw him. You really weren't able to have a consistent player. So the reason why I think this becomes a conversation, and there's a lot of people from my perspective that do not like the idea of having Jaxson Hayes start. And the reason why I'm putting Jaxson Hayes or Rui is because I do think it's going to be one of those two guys. Now, the Lakers could go Jared Vanderbilt. He could come in the starting lineup as well. He started some games, but I think, there comes a point with Jared Vanderbilt. There is a little bit lack of a skill set on the offensive end, so I don't know how you want to use him. And it's not like he's this huge rim protector as well. I'll break it down this way. I think what Pelinka's talking about with Jaxson Hayes, and again, this goes back to Anthony Davis. Now, a lot of the metrics say that you should probably have AD at the 5. He's better off at the 5 than he is at the 4, at least for the team. But if Anthony Davis wants to, hypothetically, I want another big man that I could play with. Will it clog the lane? It will clog the lane. Will it sometimes cause the Lakers or other teams to just say, well, I'm not even going to guard Jaxson Hayes, especially if he's out on the perimeter or around the basket? Of course, you got to watch out for the lobs. But is it going to make it a little bit more complicated on the offensive end? Probably will make it more complicated on the offensive end. The good thing is with the Lakers is they would have three facilitators that are in that starting lineup. If it's D'Lo, he can be the one that throws lobs to Jaxson Hayes. LeBron can find Jaxson Hayes if the defense isn't paying attention. Even AD can do it, but certainly Austin Reeves can do it as well. I personally like Rui off the bench. I like Rui Hachimura coming off the bench for the Lakers. I don't think you have to play your five best guys. Rui is one of the five best players on this Lakers team, but it doesn't mean you have to have your five guys all starting the game. So when I look at this as a conversation, when I look at this as a topic, I don't think I'm as opposed to Jaxson Hayes starting games for the Lakers at that five spot. And I don't think, I'm as opposed to, I think people get stuck in their mind, well, if Jaxson Hayes starts the first quarter and the third quarter, then he's going to eat up way too many minutes. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think there are a lot of options for the Lakers, and they still got to figure out what they're going to do with their next big man. But Jaxson Hayes seems like he'd be a player that can benefit starting games with the Lakers because of what he could potentially bring as a lob threat and what he could do on the defensive side with Anthony Davis. Again, Rui Hachimura had moments to start in the playoffs. Rui is clearly a player that's up and coming. He's got great size. He's going to be a fantastic benefit for the Lakers, which is why they paid him 3 years and $51 million. At the same time, there's a lot of teams out there that keep some of their weapons so they could come off the bench. And, eventually as the game progresses, you close out with the five that are playing the best that given night. Doesn't have to be the same consistent five. And I think Rui is going to be in a lot of those closeout games. So Jaxson Hayes or Rui Hachimura, for me, I got no issues with Jaxson Hayes as a starter for the Lakers. And again, I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to keep mentioning it. This does not mean Jaxson Hayes is going to be taking all these minutes away from the Lakers and taking minutes away from Rui or anything like that. You're going to have to play 5-6 minutes to start off the game. And then after that, you're going to go to the bench. And by the time Jaxson Hayes comes back in, who knows when it will be and who knows the next big that the Lakers are going to have. Rui was great. Rui was great in the playoffs, and Rui's going to be great for the Lakers all season long. Save some of those weapons, save some of those bullets to come off the bench. Remember, Reeves used to come off the bench? Well, he's going to be a starter now. If it's Gabe Vincent that's coming off the bench, now you got Rui. Now you got Gabe Vincent. Now you got Taurean Prince coming off the bench as well. You're going to have some real weapons and assets that you can bring in off the bench that can, potentially play together and be a good threat for the Lake Show. So I think for me, and you guys could put it on the comments below, the quote that I read from Rob Pelinka, I guess I just don't look at it as big of a deal as other people look at it, where, oh my gosh, the world is going to end if Jaxson Hayes starts. I understand, again, a lot of these metrics that do point to Anthony Davis at center versus Anthony Davis as power forward. Anthony Davis is going to play a lot of center. I don't think there's any question that AD is not going to play enough center. He will play a lot of center, but to start games, I don't have as much of an issue as I think some people do have. So comments below. My starters right now, if I'm making a prediction for the Lakers, it's D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves. It's LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Jaxson Hayes. And then when you start looking at the bench, obviously Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, Rui Hachimura. You're obviously going to get opportunities for Jared Vanderbilt. You still got to get another big. Max Christie, I hope we see a lot more this year, but that gives you just kind of a good idea of what I think the Lakers are going to do right out the gate as far as the starters go. Your comments on the starters below. Okay, last thing that I want to get into here. Rob Pelinka the Lakers put out an official statement today on Anthony Davis, and I want to read that. So obviously the news came out on Friday, but the Lakers, they did make it official. AD signs contract extension. This is the quote from Rob Pelinka. In our conversations with Anthony, his desire to lead our franchise for the next several years became clear. AD understands that his commitment to being the hardest worker combined with his high character is what will help define our culture for many seasons to come. It is a proud day for Lakers Nation when we're able to extend the contract of one of the game's most dominant two-way players. Well, Pelinka's not lying there when he's saying one of the game's most dominant players. I think the thing that's interesting to me is the piece of that the desire to lead our franchise for the next several years. Um, this has really now become this is AD's team. Now, of course, it's LeBron James' team as well, but eventually it's going to be Anthony Davis's team if it's not already. We've seen how the Lakers play when Anthony Davis is not in the lineup. They're a shell of themselves, and the chances of having any success, it ain't going to happen. But Anthony Davis, this is not, hey, he's lined up with LeBron James. They both have player options. Their contracts are the exact same. No. Bron will be 39 in December. Anthony Davis is 30 years old. AD is signed for 5 more years. This could potentially be LeBron's final year. So the Lakers finally making the AD thing, I think, is easier decision, but making long-term commitments that has not really been part of the plan for the Lakers. They've always kind of kept their roster flexibility open, but now Gabe Vincent for 3 years, D'Lo for 2 years, Rui for 3 years, Austin for 4 years. They got guys that are going to be a part of this Lakers team for a while. So just wanted to read that official statement that came from the Lakers today. All right, Lake fans, I look forward to reading some of your guys' comments below, and we'll get another one of these videos out as soon as there's some content out there that I think is worth the conversation. I'll throw out more content. So I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel as well. And hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks, Lake fans.